Climate change adaptation, building resilient UK properties. Okay, deep breath. So, the big question is, what does this mean for us in the UK property game? Let me tell you, as someone who's walked through their fair share of soggy basements and sweltering loft conversions, the impact is real. Remember when south-facing garden was the golden selling point? Well, these days it's not just about sunlight for your tomatoes. It's about whether that garden turns into a swamp every winter. With more frequent and intense rainfall, thanks climate shift, properties in flood-prone areas are feeling the pinch. I had a client in Oxford last year, lovely Victorian terrace, but it had been flooded twice in 5 years. Buyers, hesitant. Lenders, even more so. And here's the kicker. Flood risk now affects insurance premiums, mortgage approvals, even resale values. Buyers are getting smarter. They're checking Environment Agency maps. They're asking questions about flood defenses. If your listing doesn't have a solid answer, you're toast. So what can we actually do about it? Let's talk adaptation, not panic. Because, let's be honest, we can't move every home uphill, but we can make them tougher. Here are some strategies I've seen making waves, pun intended. Flood resilience renovations, think raised electrical sockets, waterproof plaster, non-return valves. I know, not exactly sexy in a right-move ad, but it's becoming a key discussion point, especially in areas like York, Lewis, and parts of the Somerset levels. Green roofs and permeable driveways. I've seen eco-minded developers in Bristol install green roofing not just for the climate cred, but because it genuinely reduces surface runoff. And those resin-bound gravel drives? Gold dust for urban drainage. Better insulation. It's not just about heat anymore. I had a buyer last summer bail on a gorgeous Georgian flat in Bath because it hit 35 degrees Celsius inside on viewing day. No exaggeration. Properties now need to be future-proofed against heat as much as cold. Cross-ventilation, reflective paint, smart blinds, it's a whole new checklist. Water efficiency measures? Yes, even in rainy old Britain. With hosepipe bans in the southeast and reservoirs running low, I'm seeing rainwater harvesting systems and low-flow fittings pop up more often, especially in new builds. Now, here's where it gets spicy. Developers are catching on slowly. Big players like Barrett and Taylor Wimpey are starting to integrate climate resilience into their sites. But retrofitting? That's where the market lags. I've had landlords look at me like I'd grown 2 heads when I suggested replacing old single-glazed sash windows with triple-glazed versions with UV protection. But bought at a fog, they say. That costs a fortune, sure. But so does a void period, because your flat turns into a sauna or a paddling pool every other month. And tenants are getting pickier. Green credentials matter. EPC ratings matter. Not just for warm fuzzies, for actual bills. What about legislation? Oh boy, it's crawling forward. The government's Future Home Standard, due 2025-ish, is meant to ensure new builds produce 75 to 80% fewer carbon emissions. Great on paper, but what about the 80% of UK housing stock that already exists? That's the real battleground. I've seen landlords scramble to meet EPC Band C because they think the MEES regs are about to tighten again. Spoiler, they probably are. I've had investors walk away from period properties because retrofitting them is a nightmare. We need incentives, grants, clear guidance, not just vague government promises and awkward DEFRA PDFs. Let's get local, because property is always local. In Liverpool, coastal erosion is a creeping threat. Down in Brighton, it's the sea levels. In Manchester, heat islands are a rising concern. And up in the Scottish Highlands, changing weather patterns are affecting everything from timber cladding to roof pitch design. A friend of mine, another agent in Devon, told me how he's now working with local architects who factor climate data into every project. It's wild how fast this shift is coming. So what's the takeaway here, really? Adaptation isn't optional anymore. It's not a nice-to-have. It's the new reality of responsible property ownership and investment. Whether you're a landlord, developer, buyer, or agent, we all need to get fluent in resilience, not just for the sake of the planet, but for the sake of profit. Want a simple starter checklist? All right, just for you. Check flood risk maps before instruction. Highlight insulation and ventilation in your listings. Nudge sellers on retrofits that matter. Start with draft proofing. Get clued up on upcoming EPC changes. Build local contractor networks for eco-adaptations. Stay ahead of climate policy. And your competition. Oh, and one more thing. Talk about it. Share this info with your clients, your team, your network. Because the property world moves fast, but climate moves faster. And trust me, the most resilient agents will be the ones who adapt first.